Bueno, muy buenas tardes. Le damos la bienvenida a todas las personas que empiezan a unirse a este webinar informativo del día de hoy, 4 de septiembre del 2025. Estamos en esta ocasión con la Universidad de East Anglia, ubicada en Reino Unido, particularmente en Norwich. Este es un espacio fundamental si su proyecto educativo y profesional está guiado y orientado en hacer una maestría o doctorado en esta gran institución académica. Este es el espacio sin duda para que puedan resolver todas sus inquietudes, así que por favor déjenlas a través del cajón de Q&A que con muchísimo gusto sé que Lewis nos ayudará a resolverlas al finalizar. Mucho gusto para todos. Mi nombre es Karen Martínez, hago parte del equipo de Consejería Académica y Relaciones Internacionales en COLFUTURO y me encuentro muy bien acompañada en esta ocasión con Lewis Siddet. Él es representante de la Universidad de East Anglia y nos va a brindar información muy importante sobre oferta académica, opciones de financiación, vida estudiantil y todas las demás recomendaciones que él dentro de su experticia y experiencia nos pueda comentar para todas las personas que están empezando en esta planeación del posgrado. Como sabrán, todos estos webinars informativos se están realizando en el marco de nuestra línea de convenios internacionales con diferentes universidades en el mundo y particularmente para este caso la Universidad de East Anglia ofrece una beca del 100% en un programa de Postgraduate Thought, becas del 25% para todos los beneficiarios en posgrados Thought y una beca del 20% para todos los beneficiarios en programas investigativos. Sin duda alguna, esta es una universidad que brinda increíbles beneficios a los estudiantes colombianos, así que vale la pena totalmente aprovecharlas, aprovechar este espacio para consultar con Lewis cualquier condición. Y bueno, sin más preámbulo, Lewis, thank you so much for being here today with us. We are so happy to have you in this space with COLFUTURO. You can go ahead and start your presentation.
Thank you very much, Karen. Let me just share my screen. Fantastic. Can I just double check that you can see this okay, Karen?
Okay, yes, that's perfect.
Fantastic. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining this session today on the University of East Anglia, UEA. So as Karen has kindly said, my name is Lewis. I'm one of the international officers at the university. This title essentially means I help students, international students that are looking to come and study at our university, from anything from application queries to then once they're on campus, any support that they might need throughout their stay. I'll just briefly introduce our university. So this slide just incorporates really just what our university is all about. So UEA was established in 1963, and it's
Lewis,
one of
sorry, could you share your screen in the complete screen, please?
Oh, apologies.
Full
Was
screen,
it
yes.
not in presenter mode? How's this? Is this okay?
No, no
Hang
yet.
on a moment. Apologize. Try again. Is it okay?
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you, Lewis.
Fantastic. Yes. So yeah, this slide just introduces people to our university, and essentially it just talks us through what our university is all about. So we've got a beautiful campus. Our university is research led in its teaching, which means that the lecturers that you'll be learning from are currently engaged in active research, and then you can just see a few statistics here. So we're a medium-sized university with just over 17,000 students, and by the own government's record of 84% of graduates going into professional work or study, we're fairly good rankings in that sense. In terms of where we are, so we're based on the east of the United Kingdom, in the city of Norwich. The city itself is safe. It's very historic, and it's a medium-sized city. So the city is bigger than Cambridge, but smaller than the city of London, of course. In terms of the city itself, it's beautiful. It's very historic, and we have the biggest open air market in the UK. So people, tourists, students love going around these colourful building huts, and these are market stalls. So anything from international food to classic fish and chips, which lots of students obviously like to go for. In the background, you can see our castle and our cathedral. So this really is a medieval city of its origins, is Norwich, and it's the most complete medieval city in the United Kingdom. Norwich has got lots of cobbled streets, as you can see from this picture, which means that we do, from time to time, get films that are made based around our city. And one, for example, is Stardust, was filmed around the city of Norwich, using kind of the beautiful cobbled streets and the really historic, quintessential English city that Norwich is. The benefit of being in the location that we are is that we are close to the seaside. Okay, the United Kingdom, when it comes to the weather, is not going to be as nice and not as warm as Colombia. But in terms of in the summer nights, it really is nice in the UK coast. And there's a lot to be said about the UK weather, but what we do have is that we have 4 clear seasons, with the likes of spring, summer, autumn, and winter is really clearly defined in the United Kingdom, and that's something that really international students really like, particularly as it is at the moment when the leaves start to fall from the trees and autumn really start. Our campus, so we're a city-based campus, so we're 20 minutes outside of the city of Norwich. This is by bus, but students also from time to time will tend to get will bike, or also there's scooters, electric scooters that students can get, which goes into our city centre. The campus looks humongous, but it's really not once you get to grips with it. It might feel really like it's the complete perfect space. One key benefit from the next slide that you'll see is that our accommodation, our on-campus accommodation, is either a 5-minute walk or a 15-minute walk if you're based at the university village. So it's really close to teaching space. It's very convenient, which is obviously really builds this kind of sense of community for our students that are on our campus. Yes, so accommodation is guaranteed for all international students. So for postgraduate taught students coming for 1 year, it's accommodation is guaranteed, and it's also, as you can see from this picture, so close to campus, and it really has a beautiful kind of landscape and space around the actual accommodation. We have our own lake, so this is what's called a UEA Broad, and it's really a beautiful space in the summer where students will tend to have barbecues, and there's a natural kind of wildlife reserve behind this, which is attached to the campus. We're also the only UK university to have a on-campus art gallery and museum, and this is called the Sainsbury Centre, and it was also where they filmed the Avengers movies franchise. Joe Russo, the director, was based at UEA as a visiting study abroad student, and really like this space. Has some really interesting exhibits and artwork, and it's also where our art history and students that want to study museum and gallery studies are based. We have great academic facilities, and I think the main thing from this picture is just to show that our courses are incredibly practical and focused on the workspace that students are eventually looking to go into after their postgraduate course. They're also supported. We've been recognised by the QS World Rankings for the support that we give to our students, be that through the various teams from accommodation, being a point of contact for students whilst they're staying with us, or our dedicated international support team, which helps students, international students, when they're opening a bank account, say, or also if they have any issues with their visas whilst they're on campus. We also have a careers central team. So this team are dedicated to supporting our students when they're looking for work. Either this can be also part-time work whilst they're looking to get an additional income whilst they're a student here. Not necessarily for it's more so for undergraduate students, but also for support when you're applying for jobs after you've completed your study, and the team are fantastic at offering slots for students to book in to review their job applications, review their CVs, and also have interview preparations. It's really fantastic for students if they want to book in an appointment and really go through a job application that they're looking to apply for. The team can sit down with the students and really help to nail down what the students exactly want to say and how to really make the best out of the words that they're writing in their application. Now, that was a bit of an introduction about our university in the city. Now, I'll focus on the courses and really the industry and the research that we have at our university. So we looked, there's lots of different UK universities, obviously, there's lots of different universities worldwide, and our university looked at this and thought, okay, look, what are we actually good at? What do we have really good industry that's local to the region? What is our research world leading in? And these we then established 3 strategic themes. So you've got health UEA, creative UEA, and climate UEA. Now, this draws together the research of our university, the industry that we have locally, and our excellent courses that we have. If I just focus on health as an example, 10 minutes walk away from our university is our Norwich Research Park. Now here we have the hospital, and then we have 4 world-leading research institutes, and you can see underneath in the blue box what their specialty is there. So, for example, the Earlham Institute is focused on biotechnology, and then the quadrant is then focused on food science. Now, this is so close to our campus. It's world-leading industry. So if you're looking to go into biomedical science, you're looking to go into biotechnology, the industry is on your doorstep. Now, our university works very closely with this, and we have had many examples of students that have then gone on to complete research at these research institutes, or also academics will collaborate with these institutions. An example of the courses that we offer at postgraduate level, which really focuses on this industry, are these courses here. Now, they're very niche and they're very specific, but that's purely because we're looking from, we need students to study these courses to then go into the research institutes, if you see what I'm saying. So the research institutes are crying out for researchers in these subjects. Now we're delivering these subjects purely to then have a funnel for these students to then go on to the research institute. So it really is a fantastic place for students if they're looking to, if your interest is biological science, for example. Our university is highly ranked in this subject, as you can see, and we're in the world top 125 for life sciences. I'll talk more about entry requirements as we go through, because that may not make a lot of sense because it's based on UK entry requirements, a bachelor. A second course, so again, climate UEA is really focused on our excellent research when it comes to climate science and also environmental science, and the industry that we have locally when it comes to energy engineering is we have a whole host. We have the biggest offshore wind farm in the UK, and we have a nuclear power station, and then a huge solar farm which is based locally in region. We didn't used to have an engineering school, and essentially the UK government and local companies based in region came to our university and put funding in, essentially. So if you can see on the slide, it says 7.4 million coming from industry, and then 4.5 from government. And essentially it was to then create through this school, then be able to create the jobs for the future for students to then go into this industry, which is based locally. So it's really fantastic. If your interest obviously is energy engineering, you will study in our engineering school, and then you have the opportunity to take part in what's called the Select Scheme. And this is where we have 49 industry partners that come in that have helped fund our engineering school. And these aren't just people that work at the company, they are the CEOs or the COOs, and they do, for example, it says there they have mock interviews, but they also get to know our students. And we have this ridiculous statistic that 94% of our engineering graduates have been offered a job by one of our industrial partners. So it really is fantastic if your interest is energy engineering. One school, one program that our university is famous for is global development. Now, we have the UK's oldest development school, and as you can see from the whole host of modules that we offer and course titles, there's so much to choose from. Probably the best thing about this program is that it includes a work placement option. So in the final semester, students don't have to do a dissertation. They can opt to do a work placement, and the screen or the picture in black at the top of the screen then has all of the different places where students have gone on to take part in their work placement. So it really is fantastic. And if you have an interest to work in the development sector, you want to go into working in kind of a government, either NGO based or government role, this program really is fantastic, drawing again on being number one. Number one for research in the UK, but also we're in the top 20 QS world rankings for global development. So it's a really fantastic place to study global development at UEA. Again, I talked a little bit about environmental science and our history in terms of the industry that we have, but also the research that we've taken part in. Now, UEA, if you type in kind of UEA climate gate, you'll then get a whole host of different articles and stories about this. Essentially, we were in the early noughties, we were instrumental in environmental science and climate science research, and there's a group of climate deniers from the United States which hacked in to the research and then published it and tried to make up that the University of East Anglia, UEA, were doomsday predicting that the world was going to end when, as we can see now, climate change is a real issue, and it's a real point which the world is really trying to grapple with at the moment. So our research is really historic, and we have the Tyndall Centre, which is based on our campus, which really has been world leading in the research that it's been doing. It's a fantastic place to be studying environmental science, and you're really rubbing shoulders essentially with world leading researchers in the field of environmental science. Now, these are relatively new programs, so our MSc Data Science, but it really draws on our expertise in renewable energy and global development, as you can see. Now, the main reason why they've developed these data science programs is essentially because it's becoming the biggest asset in the hands of policymakers, and they want people that are then moving into kind of public sector roles, policy, to then be able to understand data science as well. So this combination is drawing on UEA's expertise in climate science, in global development, in renewable energy, and then molding this in with data science. So this is a relatively new program, but it's one that is really growing in popularity at our university. And then really one of the, I'd probably say it's quite close between global development, but MA creative writing is a program which UEA is really famous for. Now, as you can see on the screen, we were the first, we were the UK's first university which founded the creative writing program in the UK. If you type in on Google University of East Anglia creative writing, you'll get a whole host of famous authors from Nobel Prize winners of literature, Booker Prize winners. It's incredible. Probably the most famous, as you can see on the screen, is Kazuo Ishiguro, and he was a UEA alumni and has a strong connection. We also have the Centre for Translation Literacy is based on our campus. We've also got the National Centre of the UK's National Centre of Writing is based in Norwich. So it's actually, it's really incredible the connections that we have creatively in our city, and our university really has a long history of this program. There's various variations that students can select when it comes to creative writing. The most famous is the prose fiction, so creative writing, prose fiction. But then we also have other variations where students can focus on creative writing poetry or creative writing crime fiction, for example. These programs, particularly the prose fiction, are incredibly competitive. But really, if you have an interest in creative writing, UEA should really be up there in universities that you want. The final course that I'll just touch upon is the MSc Public Policy and Public Management. So this will be the last course that I just highlight, and the reason being that if you're looking to go into kind of a career which is based in kind of the public sector or local or national government, this course is ideal. It's going to really set you on the right pathway to then go into this experience, and it also includes a work placement module which students can select, and we have various connections that are local but also national in the UK. So it's really, it's a really good program, and we've got really dedicated academics that really are fantastic and really do make the course with their interesting modules that they offer, as you can see on the screen. UK economy after the autumn budget. I'm not sure if that's that, but yeah. In terms of where it all comes together, so in terms of the applications and how it works at our university, the tuition fee and the accommodation fees for 2026. So our fees would start at $23,100 for a postgraduate taught tuition-free program per year. This is the basic. Science programs, due to the lab fees, will be slightly higher, but in terms of arts and humanities and social science, they will be around $23,100 as the ballpark. The yearly accommodation, because we are based in the city of Norwich, we're outside of London, it's slightly cheaper, and you're looking at about between £4,000 to £8,000. And then the UK Visa and Immigration Office recommends that students, that in terms of living fees, which includes accommodation, is roughly £1,000 per month. In terms of the COLFUTURO joint graduate loan scholarship program that we have at UEA, so I'm sure, as Karen has probably already mentioned, we have one full UEA tuition fee waived place for one COLFUTURO beneficiary, and then the subsequent applications that come through from COLFUTURO for successful students would then receive a 25% tuition fee reduction. This is at postgraduate taught, and then at postgraduate research, 20% tuition fee reduction from each year of study up to 3 years. In terms of the package, what that kind of means together, this is approximate, really. So just taking the basic fee. I know this is UG, but just basic PGT fee, because they're exactly the same. Adding this with a basic kind of an average of our accommodation, taking away the 25% if you didn't receive tuition fee paid, you're looking at around 24,000 for the postgraduate tuition and the accommodation. In terms of the entry requirements, our GPA we're looking at 3.3 to 3.5. You would need to have a relevant subject background, mainly for programs that you're looking to go into, which are science focused. Less so if you are looking to go into humanities or social science. But to be honest, if you don't have a background in those, the conversion courses are probably more suited. And these are courses which, if you've got a background in humanities, for example, but you want to get involved in business programs, there's the option for the conversion courses. Our IELTS, generally speaking, a 6.0 overall, with a minimum of 5.5 in each component. For programs which are health science related or creative writing, they may be slightly higher, but the standard IELTS requirement is 6.0 with 5.5. We also look at high school mathematics for many of our courses. So it's also worth just bearing in mind that there could be a requirement here, and it's all of the information is on each of the course pages. But if you do have any questions, please do reach out to me or the admissions team, which I'll talk about it. There's also a personal statement required, and I'll mention kind of how the application works. So when you apply to UEA at postgraduate level, we have a direct application form. It's fairly simple. You'll just want to attach your qualifications. You want to fill out your necessary information. You'll need references. So 2 references from, we tend to like having study reference and then an employment reference, but we know it's not necessarily possible to always have that in the perfect balance. So 2 kind of references from professionals that know you well is kind of the preference there. And then you'll need to write a personal statement, which is essentially why you're applying to this course and the reasons kind of employment related, but also your background and interest in the subject on why you want to apply to that course. You'll receive an offer from us, and then if you meet all of the course requirements, and then as Karen has kindly said, you'll then you'll need to submit the application to COLFUTURO as well, and then UEA and COLFUTURO will come together to confirm the 2026 beneficiaries for the new year. That is all that's on my presentation. I realized I talked rather quick, and I didn't really stop for a breath, but please do let me know if you have any questions and if you want me to repeat anything that I went over.
Okay, Lewis, thank you so much for this presentation and for all the valuable information for us. So yes, we have some questions for you. The first question is about if I am going to start, or if I want to start studying in September 2026, when should I apply?
It really depends on the course that you want to apply for. If it's a hugely popular course, for example, if it is MA Creative Writing and Prose Fiction, which is a really competitive program, you want to start applying at least by December of this year. I would say if it's if it's a program which isn't one of, not to say that if it's one that isn't as competitive, so there isn't interview requirements, then you would need the deadline to pay a deposit. The deadline to apply would be by the end of June of 2026 to then come in September. So we have a relatively long period so that you've got plenty of time still to apply. But I would say it's always best, of course, to get your application in early.
Okay, perfect. About the 100 scholarship that you offer between the agreement with COLFUTURO, how do you select this one student that will receive that?
Yes, that's a great question. So with that, we would see the application based on the information from COLFUTURO, and then we would then, depending on the subject that the student is applying or the students that they're applying for, we would then bring in the relevant faculty members. But this is a kind of a conversation that we would have between yourselves at COLFUTURO and then also with UEA as well. So this is something which is faculty led and academic based essentially. So I would say the chances of receiving the COLFUTURO being the 100% beneficiary is that it's going to be merit based and then also background based. So in terms of your employment background and also the academic background, there is really going to enhance the application. But yeah, it would be a two-way dialogue between ourselves and COLFUTURO.
Perfect. I don't know if it's possible to have a job meanwhile people are studying. It's possible that kind of students work on campus.
Yeah, so as part of the student visa that students would receive, or most international students would apply for a student visa, they can work up to a maximum of 20 hours per week. So students are able to get a job. I would say with the UK, the way that a master's is and the way that an undergraduate program is, because our masters is only 1 year, the teaching the academic teaching is a lot more intense than it would be, for example, if you're going to go to the United States. You might look at your schedule and feel, wow, I have lots of free time. But that once you get to grips with it, it's because that we include lots of independent learning, and the depth that we go into in terms of the modules or the classes that you do is going to be a lot more intensive, because it'll be based over a semester, which is 12 weeks, as opposed to if you go into the US or Europe, it tends to be a lot shorter. It tends to be 6 weeks that a module or a class you would be studying. So yes, you can definitely get a job, but just be cautious of of the study load, obviously, because that is the most important reason on why you'd be coming to.
Okay, perfect. And at the last of the session, would you like to give a final advice for the students? What candidates can do to improve their chances of being admitted in East Anglia?
Yeah, fantastic. I would say probably the best advice that I can give is really for the United Kingdom in general, is really knowing the subject that you're applying for. So really, if you are coming on to say, for example, our energy engineering program, what is the reason why you want to apply for energy engineering as opposed to mechanical engineering? You know, is this because you have a particular interest here? Have you produced some sort of research, or have you studied some sort of class or module that really inspired you to this subject? Or is there some kind of job which you've dreamed about and that you're really focused to study? And I would say the main reason when you are applying, when you're filling out the reasons on why you're applying to our university, it would be really to understand, okay, why are you applying, and what do you have? What are the skills that you have, and the experience that you have to make you a good candidate? We really want to understand you, and we really like to, because at the end of the day, in the UK, it's very much the way that we teach is two-way. So we want students to become experts in the subject that they're studying, and we want to hear their viewpoint, we want to hear what they think. So I would say the main thing is to really understand what you know about the subject and why you are applying to this. Is it an employment base? Is it research that you want to develop? Is it just a clear passion for that subject? That's really best advice.
That's perfect. Lewis, thank you so much again, and I hope to see you in the next opportunity.
Thank you so much, Karen. Thank you everyone for joining.
Y gracias a todas las personas que se unieron por su atención y por su interés. Los invitamos a ser partícipes de los demás espacios que tenemos diseñados para todos ustedes. Feliz tarde, que estén muy bien. Goodbye, Lewis. Thank you so much.
Bye.